finally completed chapter 4. So this is 5 videos for chapter 4. I thought it was going to be 4 or 5 or 6, ended up being 5. Of course, read the last couple of sections, 410 and 411, which are the subject of this video. Then this video will go out on August 14th, and I'm up to a total of 937 problems attempted. And then when I continue, it'll be chapter 5 on, basically the latter half of the book. I made a mistake during the last video, and so I wanted to rectify that. I said that this example had 4 parameters, which it does, and then when I turned the page, I corrected myself and said it had 3, but in reality it does have 4, RSTU. I confused it with another example that has an x0 and 3 parameters, some number, but this is not the case. So sorry about that. Then I'll go over the sections at the latter part of chapter 4, which are 10, 11, and the supplementary problems. Yeah. So properties of matrix transformations, the whole business of what's commutative and what's not when you do a shear, followed by a rotation, followed by a projection. Projections are not one-to-one, so they don't lead to commutative. It's a commutative group, really, but commutative operations. In the case of rotations, sure, you can rotate by multiple angles, and you can do them in different order, and you get the same thing. Yeah, so that's what this section is all about. And of course, the redefinition of the column space as the range of the transformation matrix and the null space as the kernel. Very interesting how there are multiple ways to describe the same thing, and this book does an excellent job of giving you the matrix view, the system view, and the transformation view for either the null space or the column space. I found this particularly useful. And then, of course, the theorem, the equivalence theorem that has been built up over time of multiple theorems, is finally in all its glory, all the way to letter T, for an n by n matrix that is invertible. And then it's got all these other aspects to it that allow you to describe the matrix. The determinant of A does not equal 0, and so on. Many different aspects of such a matrix. Then in the case of 411, 411 is all about combining different changes to the space, usually using the unit square in R2. And I thought this was great. I kind of flaked out at the very end when I did problems. There were a few problems that I didn't do just because I'm just running out of time for what I think chapter 4 needs. It's become a gigantic marathon. I loved it. Another 180 or so pages of problem sets, but I decided to cut bait with some problems. But even then, I really thought it was very useful to see how you're given a matrix and you have to break it down into elementary matrices, and you know what they are from all these operations. So yeah, I found that very good to learn. And then a couple of hard problems in the supplementary problems, also very useful. And then next will be chapter 5. Finally. So then on to the notebook. And of course, this is a complete notebook. This is my 25th notebook so far. I'm doing about 8 notebooks a year, roughly, maybe a little more. So I'm going to be coming up to my 3rd year at the end of August of doing all this math. And so yeah, about 8 notebooks a year. So I think, God willing, with health and time, I can hit 100 notebooks in like what, 12 years, something like that. So I'm 3 in. Yeah, 3 in. So that completes this notebook. And so then when I start on chapter 5, I'll be on the 3rd notebook. Yeah, so just the reading for section 410. Of course, as you see here, you're really adding to that theorem from theorem 2.3.8 back early on in chapter 2. Then there were some more added for column and row vectors for linear independence, span, and basis. And then you add rank, nullity, orthogonal complement, and then you add the kernel, the range, and one-to-one. And you get a big old theorem. For the problems, not too many big issues. Few screw-ups here and there. For section 410, a couple of theorems, and then only screwed up one true and false. For 411, also just doing those shears, or I think are the more complex ones, the trickier ones. And then to decompose, I made a few mistakes because I didn't really follow the way that the book tells you how to do it. And so sometimes I would find 3 different ones than the ones that they asked for, but it was still correct. And I think it took me all the way to, let me see which problem it was. See how I tried many different ones. This is not the way to do it, friends. It's better to follow what the exercise book describes. But I just wanted to amuse myself. So yeah, the way the book does it is this way. And I didn't sometimes do that. First time I get all the true and false. Then for the supplementary problems, it goes over multiple concepts discussed throughout the chapter. Have to go back. Anything with polynomials, I'm flaky. This I went in the right direction, but I did not finish the job. Revisit. Yeah, revisit. Definitely revisit. And there you have it. That is the end of chapter 4.